The binocular indirect ophthalmoscope still plays an important role when performing retinal examination. It remains unique in enabling a combination of a wide field of view with dynamic and stereoscopic examination of the entire fundus. At the same time, it's also highly portable, and all these attributes together are not attainable with any other single instrument. In this video, we're going to cover the development of the instrument, discuss the clinically relevant basic optics, demonstrate its setup and controls, and finally take you through the clinical examination techniques that will help you get the most out of this unique optical instrument. Reuter invented the original indirect ophthalmoscope in 1852. This was a monocular instrument with an independent light source. The first binocular instrument was invented just 9 years later by Giraud-Toulon. However, the world had to wait for another 90 years when in 1951 Schepens developed a clinically effective head-mounted binocular indirect. This combined the illumination and observation systems within a single device, and this fundamental design remains the basis of the modern instrument. The optics of the indirect adhere to Goulstrand's principle that involves 3 separate beams that all pass through the patient's pupil. These consist of 1 illumination beam and 2 separate viewing beams, 1 for each of the examiner's eyes. Because the examiner's eyes are further apart from the 2 viewing beams that exit the patient's pupil, the instrument incorporates a simple system of mirrors that widens their separation to match that of the examiner's pupils. A handheld condensing lens is used to create a real and inverted image of the fundus that sits between the lens and the examiner, and this enables stereoscopic visualization of the retina. For maximum stereopsis, the patient's pupil should be well dilated in order to enable all 3 beams to pass through it. If the pupil is poorly dilated, then 1 or more of the beams will fall outside of it, and stereopsis is therefore lost. However, some degree of stereopsis can still be achieved by altering the angle of convergence between the right and left observation paths using the variable pupil function. A lever beneath the central window controls the separation of the illumination and viewing pathways. Moving it across converges the 3 elements. This allows the observer to retain a binocular view even with pupil diameters down to about 2 millimeters. The condensing lens most commonly used is the +20 diopter, although lenses ranging from 14 diopters to 30 diopters are also used. The field of view is directly proportional to the power of the condensing lens. The +20 lens provides about a 40-degree field of view with a magnification of around 3 times. So with the optics of the instrument more clearly understood, we'll now move on to explain its controls. Regardless of the manufacturer, all instruments share some standard basic features which comprise an adjustable headband fitting, a customizable viewing system for the examiner, and controls for tailoring the illumination. The headband is adjusted for position and comfort using 2 knobs. The one at the back controls circumferential adjustment so that it rests firmly and comfortably with no unwanted movement when tilting the head. The knob at the top adjusts the vertical position of the instrument, which should rest just above your ears. With the instrument comfortably in place, you now need to adjust the position of the illumination and viewing system relative to your pupils. Firstly, bring the hinged body of the instrument as close to your eyes as possible, as this will give you the maximum field of view. Using the adjustment knob, both the height as well as the angulation of the optics are altered until the visual pathways are roughly in line with your pupils. Next, you need to align the eyepieces to your interpupillary distance. To do this, you need to adjust the instrument 1 eye at a time. Use your outstretched thumb as a reference point, and then shut 1 eye. Now, slide the eyepiece in front of your open eye so that the tip of your thumb falls within the center of the field. Then repeat this process with the other eye to complete the alignment. Having set up the viewing system, you're now ready to turn on and adjust the light source. There are 5 features of the illumination control. Firstly, the rheostat. On more recent cordless instruments, this is mounted on the headset, although on other instruments it's usually found on the battery or power supply. This acts both as an on-off switch and with continuous adjustment controls the intensity of illumination. Next, using the horizontally mounted knobs on either side of the assembly, the vertical angulation of the light is adjusted relative to your field of view. You should place the light beam in the upper part of your field of view for optimum visualization. Thirdly, adjust the spot size, choosing a diameter that's appropriate for your patient. For a well-dilated pupil and cooperative patient, the largest spot size gives you the widest field of view. However, in patients who are either photophobic or who have a small pupil, you should select a smaller spot size. Fourthly, there are several useful filters. The red-free filter increases contrast when viewing retinal vessels and also highlights retinal hemorrhages. The yellow filter reduces photophobia in light-sensitive patients. The cobalt blue filter is useful in exceptional cases, such as fluorescein angiography in a child under general anesthesia. Finally, the diffuser aperture. This is helpful when you're first learning to use the indirect. It provides a broader illumination beam and allows for more movement of the patient or the condensing lens in the viewing axis without losing the fundal view. In addition, there are other features of the indirect that make it a particularly versatile instrument. A teaching prism is a simple but very helpful device for demonstrating clinical signs to other observers. Another innovation is that there are now dedicated video indirect ophthalmoscopes that are available from some manufacturers. They have an integral camera in the head mount, which is indispensable for both recording and archiving, as well as for live on-screen teaching.